Welcome to Mail Fuzz TV. I am Peter, and today I'm going to be talking about Black Mirror Season 6, Episode 4. It's called Mazey Day. So, full spoilers for the episode. I don't really know what to make of this one. It's kind of a weird episode that feels more like a Twilight Zone episode. Not Twilight Zone, sorry, I'm misspeaking. Tales from the Crypt is what I meant to say. It feels like a Tales from the Crypt episode. Where it's building up to a twist, which is actually a really simple twist in the end. You know, it turns out to be a werewolf story at the end. I don't know. I kind of left myself feeling like, why is this Black Mirror? Because it just like, obviously there's some obvious commentary on paparazzi and the like parasitic nature of chasing down celebrities for photographs, and the episode opens with our main character played by Zazie Beetz. She takes some photos of a guy who's having an affair with a man at a motel, and then because these photographs get out, even though he begs her before she drives away to give him the photos instead for some money, he ends up killing himself, and she feels guilty about this, and she ultimately decides to hang up the camera, and she's done because she doesn't like being in this world anymore. But she's lured back in when there's a big reward for a photograph of this actress named Mazey Day, who has went kind of AWOL and no one knows why. She left her movie set. We see some stuff though of like the build up to why she left, which seems to be, from what we see, a hit and run where she took some mushrooms, was driving a car, and seemingly killed a man. And we kind of are led to believe that that's what she's dealing with. She has this guilt over that, and that's what's led to her sort of seclusion from society. So the episode largely is Bo, which is Zazie Beetz' character, looking for her. You know, try to track her down, staking out where she thinks she is, following her to a town, getting her tires slashed by like a bodyguard, and then ultimately just sneaking into where she's staying. And then by the end, like her friend and like some other paparazzi guys show up to also try and get some photographs. And then it turns out to be a werewolf story. So yeah, there's the obvious commentary of like this type of thing, you know, this like feeding off of someone even when they're at their worst. And Bo has sympathy for the people she's actually like chasing down and wants to help Mazey when she finds her, because she's chained to the floor, which seems like a really cruel thing to do until you find out she's a werewolf, and this is more she's being locked up because it's the full moon and she's going to go killing people if not. So it's got kind of that ironic twist kind of thing going for it. But I think the problems with this one is what I already brought up, is that it doesn't really feel like a Black Mirror episode, because it's not really, I mean, it's a period piece for a start. Like, we're kind of pre even the start of Black Mirror. I think it's like, I don't know, they mentioned Siri Cruz was born. I don't know exactly when that was, but you know, Windows XP was being used. It seemed like it was the mid to late 2000s based on the phones and the iPod that she got. Something around there. But I never really felt like it was doing anything that made it feel like Black Mirror. Secondly, the werewolf twist, oh surprise, it's a werewolf story, it was very Tales from the Crypt. I think the other problems though are that basically most of the episode is not actually that exciting or interesting or engaging. It's this stakeout of trying to find this actor when she's went missing, and we never, I think, really feel all that passionate about finding them. You know, I like the episode runtime's like 40 minutes. It's much shorter than the rest of the episodes this season, and I think that would be fine if it was a shorter story that lent itself to less of a runtime. That'd be fine, but it did feel like it was kind of undercooked in a lot of ways, where it was just kind of getting to the point. Well, it was getting to the point of like what it was doing for its story, but its story itself didn't get to the point because I wanted to save it as a twist. And the flip side of that is that once we know it's a werewolf story, all of the things that happen after that point in the last like 5 to 10 minutes are all very quick and rushed. Like, I could have probably had a bit of fun with a simple werewolf siege story, you know, because they run to like a diner and there's a cop in there, and they're like hiding in there for like maybe a minute or two before the werewolf comes in, and we have our big climax. Like, if they'd done like more with like hiding from the werewolf or surviving, it could have at least been a fun horror story. The werewolf transition looked okay, you know, as far as CG goes, it was fine enough. But it never like had time to really be good at being a werewolf story. So I didn't find the mystery of trying to find the actress all that interesting. The twist when it happened was kind of it wasn't like oh that's cool, it's a werewolf story. It was more like okay, I guess that's what this is. You know, it was more of a sort of bemusement kind of reaction, at least for me. Like maybe the other people would feel differently, but it felt a little bit weird, and I don't even think anticlimactic's the right word, because it's not even like I felt like we were building up to something exciting but try to find her. I guess that's the thing, is that it does that traditional thing where it gives us a sympathetic main character who's drawn back into this world because the payday's too high and she's struggling to pay her bills and whatnot. But I never really felt like I got all that invested in Bo's story as a character. I almost wonder if it felt a bit cheap that we actually saw like part of the actress's night where she became a werewolf, because obviously right as we're about to see that she's a werewolf, we see like the extra part of the hit and run where she actually did get out of the car and go to the man and he was a wolf and she got bit, obviously. And I'm sure it's going for some irony, or it's going for some like commentary with, you know, the end of the episode, we have Bo shooting a gun to kill the werewolf to protect herself, and I'm sure there's meant to be some fancy correlation between the shooting of a gun and the shooting of a camera, and how in this case, like, it's, I don't know, maybe ironic. It also ends with her giving the gun to Mazey to kill herself, and the person at the start that she was following killed herself, but here it's what the person wants and it was going to happen regardless. But it feels weird to, like, if the message of this episode is that, like, these types of people who chase down celebrities to try and get snapshots, especially some of the examples we see where it's like the actress or whoever it is getting out of a car near the start, and like all the guys are harassing her, like the one guy with the mustache is like shouting things like you're a whore at her, so she'll turn around and so you can get another shot of her. It's all very like vile and seedy, and like I say, parasitic's the best word I can possibly give to it, because it's people who just live off invading someone's lives and they see some justification in it because they're a celebrity, because they chose a profession that's in the limelight, that on some level they've opened themselves up for this kind of access, which is complete bullshit. Like, everyone's entitled to a private life regardless of what they do. Yeah, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to get the point, because at the end of the episode it's like, okay, not only is she going to get the 30 grand for getting the first photograph of this missing actress, she's also got video proof or photographic proof of a freaking werewolf existing, and like her dying friend like got a shot of like some of it happening, like, you know, he gets his throat bit just before the end, and he gives her the camera as he's dying, and it's like, here, you've got, get the shot, and then she gets the shot of the suicide. That's how the episode ends. Like, what is it saying? Is it saying that she is being rewarded with these exclusives because she cared about her and she wasn't just like there for the, like, she tried to help her, you know, as much as it was misinformed and led to the deaths of multiple people? Is it saying that paparazzi shouldn't care about their subjects because it just leads to bad things? That feels like a weird message, so I don't think it's saying that. I don't know. I'm struggling to see what the point of this story was. Whatever it is, I think it's kind of muddy, and I don't think it's super clear. Like, it felt like it was going somewhere with something, you know, because obviously it clearly set up this character who was feeling guilty about this lifestyle and was trying to get out of it, but was lured back in. And much like any story where it's someone who's going to get out the life of crime and is, you know, pulled back in for one last job, obviously something bad's going to happen as a result of that. I guess you could say that she got so close to the sun, or something. I don't know. Like, I'm genuinely conflicted, and I don't really understand what the point of the episode was. Which would be one thing if it was just entertaining, but I think that once you get to the werewolf stuff, it's too rushed, and you kind of feel weird because you're like, oh, this is what we were building up to the whole time, was like a werewolf horror story. It doesn't really feel like it fits the rest of what the episode was doing. I'm sure on paper there are some interesting like correlations between the idea of the werewolf and what the themes of the story are when it comes to Bo and looking into someone's private life. I guess it's this idea that celebrities have like these secrets in their dark side, and you can only hope it's as juicy as that they're a goddamn werewolf so that you can sell more photos and papers and get web clicks and whatever else it may be. And I'm also not sure why it's a period piece set in the late 2000s or mid 2000s or whenever exactly we are. I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's something obvious here that I'm missing. Maybe there's some story from that time period that this is obviously like a send up of, or a callback to, or a thematic connection that I'm just not getting. But I don't. I just kind of left this one feeling kind of like, okay, I guess the werewolf parts were kind of okay and entertaining for what they were, but fundamentally they're just too rushed to really amount to anything. So yeah, unsurprisingly, the shortest episode of the season is leading to the shortest review, but that's not always the case if it's if it's well done and there's a lot to like talk about in terms of its achieves what it's setting out to do. But I think some of it just feels a little bit generic as well, like the flashing back to like, oh, this is when she actually got bit, it was really a werewolf. That felt kind of cheesy. It felt kind of derivative of just other types of story. Like I say, it made me think of Tales from the Crypt. There's a few episodes of Tales from the Crypt where it's like, twist, it's a vampire story, or twist, it's a werewolf story. And it kind of works in those contexts because they're only like 20, once you take out the opening and closing with the Crypt Keeper, you're at maybe like 22 minutes or something like that of actual story. So it kind of works because you're not spending this much time. So as much as this is a shorter episode, it's still 40-ish minutes of all these things that you're setting up and clear themes that you're setting up, only to just pivot to werewolf. And I just don't think at least to me, there was like an instant like, oh, this like fits in so well with these themes and it means this for the character. I just didn't get that from it. Like, other than her solving her financial, Bo, that is, other than Bo solving her financial problems, there's not really much of a hook to care about her finding her. I guess that's the thing, because we don't necessarily suspect that there was more to that night, there was more to the hit and run. There's no reason for us to like care about finding her. And maybe if they'd like kept her mysterious to us, maybe we would have cared. But the problem is we do see her a couple of times. We see her, getting the food at the house. We see the house being wrecked, and we assume it's just like, she's had a temper tantrum and thrown things around, that kind of thing. But we see her multiple times. We see her with a therapist. Like, so to us, she's not that mysterious. To the audience, like, it feels like she is just hiding and she's just trying to get over this grief and detox and whatever else. But so there's not like this sense of mystery. I feel like if they made it more mysterious to us, where we were wondering like, yeah, what happened to her, what is going on with her, like, but I don't think we ever feel that as the audience. So there's not that much excitement in her tracking her down and like getting close and like, so yeah, so it's a real mixed bag, and I would borderline just say a bad episode. Like, it's not the worst thing ever. Like, I've definitely seen like maybe a worst episode of Black Mirror. There's definitely much worse episodes of TV out there. But as a Black Mirror episode, which has a certain set of expectations and standards, I just don't really feel like this offered that much. So, extremely underwhelming and kind of a dull watch is where I land on. But yeah, that's it. I got nothing else. There's very few scenes in the episode that I would like to kind of talk about or get into. It's just not all that it's not all that interesting fundamentally. So yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts on Mazey Day. It's easily the dud so far of the season. Hopefully the last episode bounces back a little bit and gives me something that I'm excited about. But yeah, let me know what you thought of Mazey Day in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and of course you can support all the content and keep it all coming by going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and supporting us over there on a monthly basis with a few dollars if you're so inclined. But that is the show, so thank you once again for watching or listening. I always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?